boll och det står han för här, Viktor Gyökeres. Och det är bara att se och njuta. Vilken fantastisk...
Now, it really feels like everyone's buzzing about Viktor Gyokeres and what he's doing at Arsenal. Even though he's only got 3 goals in his first 10 appearances, the excitement isn't dying down. If anything, it's growing. And that's largely because something has definitely changed since he's come into the squad. Mikel Arteta has been constantly praising him in press conferences, and there's this noticeable shift in how the team's playing. The chemistry, the structure, the intensity, it's ticking a bit differently now. The thing is, when a striker isn't banging in goals every week, people start asking questions. Is he doing enough? Is he really the guy for this system? But when you look beyond the goals, there's a story unfolding that's actually way more important. This isn't just about finishing. It's about the balance of the team. It's about how one player's presence can unlock others. So what is Gyökeres really doing right? What's still missing? And why might all the initial takes on him be a little off? The chatter online, especially on Arsenal Twitter, really lit a fire under this whole conversation. A lot of fans started taking a step back and noticing, hey, this guy might not be scoring loads, but Arsenal are playing better with him in the side. It's true that his goal scoring has only come against Leeds and Nottingham Forest. That part of his game has been underwhelming so far. But people are starting to realize it's not just about putting the ball in the back of the net. A couple of weeks back, there was serious frustration. Against big teams like Manchester United, Man City, and Liverpool, he didn't register a single shot. None. And at that point, it looked like Arsenal just weren't playing to his strengths. But something shifted. In the last 4 or 5 games, the dynamic has changed. The team's been more aggressive, more vertical, more connected. And Gyökeres has been a key part of that. Not just with what he does on the ball, but where he is, how he moves, and how that affects everyone around him. Looking at the tactical setup, one of the biggest things that jumps out is his presence in central areas. He's constantly occupying the middle, not drifting too wide unnecessarily, not dropping out of danger zones. He's there, sticking between 2 defenders, dragging attention. Think of it like the Erling Haaland effect. Even when he's not touching the ball, his gravity creates space. Center backs don't want to leave him. They feel like they have to stay close, and that instantly opens up gaps elsewhere. What's clever is how he positions himself just off the shoulder of the last defender, always keeping them guessing. He's not static. He's twitchy, reactive, ready to pounce. When the midfield has the ball, he's scanning constantly, shifting left to right, trying to find the weak point. That unpredictability makes it hard for defenders to settle. If they step forward to intercept, he's already spinning in behind. If they sit back, he drops into a pocket and links play. It's not just about occupying space, it's about manipulating it. He bends the back line with his body language. Sometimes he'll fake a run just to drag one of the defenders out of shape. That tiny moment of hesitation can be all easy or Saka need to dart through the gap. He's like a magnet, pulling defenders toward him even if the ball isn't coming his way. And when Arsenal recycle possession, he doesn't just stand still. He repositions, resets, and starts pulling the strings again. He's always making himself an option, always stretching the shape. It's relentless. The way he pins the line, it forces teams into a defensive shell. They can't step up because they're afraid of the space he's constantly threatening to exploit. Even when Arsenal aren't attacking through him directly, he's shaping the attack just by existing in those zones. That kind of presence doesn't always show up in stats, but you feel it when watching. He's always giving defenders a problem to solve, and most of the time, they don't have an answer. This is huge in games where the opposition backline isn't some perfectly tuned machine. Most teams don't have a Gabriel Saliba-style partnership. They're not synced up enough to know when to step, when to hold, and Gyökeres plays into that uncertainty. By staying central and demanding attention, he forces mistakes. He opens lanes. And that, more than anything, is what's given Arsenal this fresh burst of control and directness. What's even more interesting is how comfortable he is being dynamic. You'll see him pop out to the left, to the right, wherever he's needed. He seems to prefer the left side overall, but he's not glued there. He's adaptable. If the ball's breaking on the right, he's there. If Martinelli's cutting inside and someone needs to pull a defender away, he's that guy. There's a real sense of maturity in how he reads the play and commits to the role. even if it means sacrificing the spotlight. And here's the twist. He's doing a lot of this with his back to goal. That's not even something he's amazing at least not yet. There have been plenty of moments where the ball bounces off him or he gets swarmed and loses it. But week after week, you can see the improvement. The bounce passes are getting cleaner. The weight of his touches is improving. And once those passes stick, Arsenal can start combining. Easy in particular has been thriving off those quick layoffs. 1-2 touch play, little flicks into dangerous areas. That's where Gyökeres has started adding real value. There's this clear identity shift happening. Arsenal aren't faffing around outside the box anymore. They're not overplaying. There's intent. There's bite. And a lot of it comes from the platform that Gyökeres is building with his movement and energy. And speaking of energy, his sprint numbers in the Premier League have been outrageous. He's pushing the backline constantly. That alone has changed the shape of games. Before, teams could hold a higher line without fear. Now they're backing up, dropping deeper, reacting to Gyökeres' pressure. And this space that opens up, it's being used. Players like EZ are slipping into those half spaces, receiving between the lines, and launching attacks. And with injuries stacking up, EZ has had to step into more advanced positions. Gyökeres has been key to making that possible. Without his line-pushing runs, EZ doesn't have the same freedom. Without the chaos he causes, that midfield verticality isn't there. Same goes for the wide players. Saka, Trossard, and even Martinelli off the bench have been playing more narrowly. Trossard especially has almost acted as a second striker at times. And the beauty of this is that it pins the fullbacks too, not just the center backs. Suddenly, opposition defenders are all over the place. They're tighter, narrower, and Arsenal are finding joy on the outside again. It's allowed players like Timber and Kiwior to push up, make those underlapping runs, and keep the pressure on. Now, if you take a look at some heat maps, the contrast between Gyökeres and someone like Havertz from last season is stark. Havertz had way more touches, sure, but most of them were in deeper areas. He was linking play, not living in the box. And while that helped at times with triangles and combinations, it didn't scare defenses. There was no edge, no threat of something brutal happening at any moment. Gyökeres brings that edge. It's that consistent presence in the box that changes everything. Arsenal have needed a proper striker who can just be there in the right zones. Someone who demands defenders commit, who doesn't drop deep every time. With Gyökeres, there's a focal point, someone who holds the ball up, connects runners, and yes, still gets into the box in time to try and finish. Of course, Arsenal's main goal scorers have been the wingers. That hasn't changed overnight. But with Gyökeres occupying defenders, those wingers now have more freedom to drift into central areas without being tightly marked. And when they do, they're finding more space and better angles. It's almost like Gyökeres has freed the attack to play more instinctively. Another huge bonus has been what Zubimendi brings to the table. His passing is so much more progressive, so much braver. He's constantly looking to play forward, threading balls into feet and moving the ball faster than before. That's a big deal when you have someone like Gyökeres making constant runs. Rice is getting more confident with those kinds of passes too. And suddenly Arsenal are playing a lot more vertically, less sideways, less predictable. EZ, of course, floats around the pitch and picks the ball up in so many dangerous spots. He loves to shoot. And when he's on the ball, defenders can't just collapse on him because Gyökeres is lurking. You mark one, the other has space. It's becoming this really threatening cocktail where you can't relax for a second as an opponent. And the best part? The ball progression has looked really smooth overall. There were questions about whether Arsenal could move the ball through midfield reliably, especially without Odegaard. But between Zubimendi, Rice, and EZ stepping into those roles, the passing has become sharp again. And it's all made more effective by the presence of someone like Gyökeres at the top of the system. Now, despite all these positives, there are still things that haven't clicked. The finishing, for starters. Gyökeres has had games where the chances have come, and he hasn't taken them. Olympiacos, for example, he should have scored. The movement was great, the positioning was smart, but the finishing didn't land. That's the next big step, becoming clinical, converting half chances. being ruthless in front of goal. There's also still a question mark over his timing when it comes to crosses. He's not fully adapted to when to go early or hang back. Sometimes he gets swallowed up by defenders, especially if there are two on him. And for all his strength and pace, aerially, he's still not the biggest threat. Arsenal continue to put high crosses into the box, and that might not be playing to his strengths. When the ball's on the floor, he's dangerous. But if it's constantly floated in, that advantage disappears. That's where players like Trossard come into play. Trossard's low crosses, his ability to cut the ball back sharply, it suits Gyökeres far better. There's an argument to be made that Arsenal should look to replicate that more often. The thing is, even when Gyökeres doesn't get the final shot, he's doing the dirty work. He's dragging defenders into positions they don't want to be in. He's making it easier for others to shoot, and that makes a difference. Arsenal aren't necessarily setting him up every time. This isn't Sporting Lisbon, where every cross is for him. Here it's about fluidity, about options, about making the right decision based on who's open and where the gaps are. So, yeah, his involvement might not be massive every single game in terms of touches or shots, but that's not the only measure of success. His job is to cause problems, to shift defenders, to make the rest of the attack better, and on that front, he's delivering. It's also worth noting that even though he's been running a lot, there's still a question of how effective some of those runs are. He's not always choosing the best path. Sometimes he runs into congestion, sometimes he's late arriving. These are the details that separate a good striker from a great one. But those are also the things that tend to improve with time. He's already showing glimpses of a more complete game, taking the ball out wide, playing inside, holding up play, and then arriving in the box. That evolution from pure poacher to link up forward is happening in front of everyone's eyes. And when the rest of the team starts trusting him more, starts looking for him more often, those goal numbers will climb. And even if he's not scoring as regularly as expected, there's a reason defenders are worried about him. He carries threat. He looks like someone who's going to explode at any moment. That kind of psychological edge is real. With Havertz, defenders could switch off. With Gyökeres, they're locked in. And when defenders are stressed, space opens up, mistakes happen, and other players thrive. The creativity has gone up. The intent is back. The shot volume is rising. And Gyökeres, even if not always the finisher, is central to that shift. Against Newcastle, he had a bunch of shots. Not all high quality, but they were there. He was in the right spots. He forced defenders into blocks. He tested the keeper. Against Olympiacos, it was the same story. But this time, the end product just didn't land. Still, those are games where a breakthrough feels imminent. Ultimately, Gyökeres was brought in to elevate the level, not just to score goals, but to give Arsenal a different dimension. And that's exactly what he's done. It hasn't been perfect, and there's still more to come, but the signs are exciting. The improvement is visible. And when Havertz returns, having the option to rotate and rest Gyökeres will make things even sharper. The season is long, and Arsenal need a forward who can bring more than just goals. Someone who adds structure, threat, and power to the front line. Viktor Gyokeres is doing that. The goals will come. The performances are already there. So what's next? More confidence, more composure, and maybe even a penalty or two to boost the tally. But even without that, Gyökeres is transforming how Arsenal play, and that's what matters most. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on Viktor Gyökeres so far. Do you think he'll become a 20-goal-a-season striker at Arsenal? Let's hear it. Catch you in the next one.